The moment Parker Zimmerman stumbled through the door of Sunrise Cafe with his twin 5-year-olds clinging to his legs, Felicity Rosenthal lowered her financial report and couldn't look away. There was something magnetic about the man, perhaps the way he managed to hold the door, wrangle 2 children, and balance what appeared to be a portfolio under his arm, all while looking like he hadn't slept in days. "Daddy, I want a chocolate muffin," the little boy announced, tugging at his father's worn jeans. "Me too," echoed his sister. Parker knelt down, his voice gentle but firm. "Remember what we talked about, kiddos. Today is just hot chocolate day. Muffin day is Friday, when we celebrate your good week at school." Felicity watched from behind her MacBook, pretending to review quarterly projections while stealing glances at the small family. The cafe was her morning ritual, a guilty pleasure where she could pretend to be normal, before heading to the Rosenthal Enterprises headquarters, where she'd inherited her father's position as CEO 3 years ago. "1 hot chocolate for Lily, 1 for Liam, and a black coffee for me, please," Parker told the barista, counting out dollars with careful precision. The barista, Jenny, according to her name tag, smiled warmly. "The usual, Parker. How's the job hunt going?" "Got an interview at Midtown Architecture this afternoon. The kids are heading to my neighbor's after school." He ran a hand through his disheveled brown hair. "And tonight, I've got the security shift at the convention center." Felicity's ears perked up at the mention of architecture. Her company was currently planning a major development project, and their design team had been underwhelming her for weeks. "Daddy, can we draw while we wait?" the little girl Lily asked, already pulling crayons from a small backpack. "Sure thing, princess. Just for 10 minutes, then we need to get you to school." Felicity couldn't help but notice the careful way Parker took out a small sketchbook, flipping past what looked like detailed architectural drawings to find clean pages for his children. His movements were economical, as if conserving energy was second nature. Over the next few weeks, Felicity found herself arriving at the cafe earlier, lingering longer, all to catch glimpses of the small family that came in precisely at 7:40 a.m., Monday through Friday. She learned that Parker worked as a night security guard, did freelance drafting when he could get it, and had recently picked up weekend shifts stocking shelves at a local grocery store. The twins were in kindergarten, smart as whips, and completely devoted to their father. What she didn't know was why she couldn't stop thinking about them. On a rainy Tuesday morning, the cafe was more crowded than usual. Parker and the twins entered, shaking off umbrellas, their usual table occupied. Felicity found herself raising her hand, gesturing to the empty chairs at her table before she could think better of it. "You're welcome to join me," she said, immediately regretting how formal she sounded. Parker hesitated, clearly surprised. "That's very kind, but we don't want to disturb you." "Please, I insist. I've seen you here often, and it's no bother." The twins decided for him, scampering to the table with curious eyes. "Your computer is pretty," Lily observed, pointing at Felicity's rose gold laptop. "Thank you," Felicity replied, smiling at the little girl. "I'm Felicity." "I'm Lily, that's Liam, and that's Daddy. His name is Parker." Parker set down their drinks, looking embarrassed. "Thanks for sharing your table, we won't be long." "No rush," Felicity said, finding herself genuinely enjoying the company. "What kind of architecture do you do?" Parker's eyebrows rose in surprise. "You overheard. Small cafe," she offered with a shrug. "I'm actually in real estate development." Something flashed in his eyes, interest, maybe pride, before he tamped it down. "I was with Martinez and Associates for 6 years. Specialized in sustainable urban housing, but the firm downsized last year and—" He glanced at the twins who were busily coloring. "Single dad priorities meant I wasn't able to relocate." Their mother, Felicity asked before she could stop herself. Car accident 3 years ago. His voice was steady, but his eyes revealed the wound wasn't fully healed. We're managing. Felicity nodded, feeling a strange twist in her chest. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. Parker checked his watch. Time to go, monsters. We don't want to be late for school. As they gathered their things, Felicity impulsively pulled out a business card. If you're looking for work, my company might have some projects that could use your expertise, just if you're interested. Parker took the card, his fingers brushing hers. The contact was brief but electric. He glanced down at the embossed logo and his eyes widened slightly. Rosenthal Enterprises. Yes, she said, suddenly self-conscious about the wealth gulf between them. I'm actually the CEO, he finished. I follow business news. You took over after your father passed away. He pocketed the card carefully. Thank you, Miss Rosenthal. This is unexpected. Felicity, please. He nodded, a small smile finally reaching his tired eyes. Felicity, I'll call your office. After they left, Felicity sat motionless, her coffee growing cold. Something had shifted inside her, something she couldn't quite name. Parker called the next day. Felicity's assistant sounded puzzled when she put him through, clearly wondering why the CEO was taking calls from an unknown architect. I have some concept sketches I could show you, Parker was saying, his voice professional but hesitant, for sustainable urban housing that could work with your riverside development. That would be great, Felicity replied, trying to sound equally professional. Could you come by the office tomorrow, say around 2? There was a pause. I'll need to arrange childcare. Would 3 work instead, of course? She hesitated, then added, or we could meet at the cafe again. Saturday morning, perhaps. The twins could bring their crayons. The silence stretched long enough that Felicity began to regret the suggestion. That would actually be perfect, Parker finally said, relief evident in his voice. I have my grocery shift in the afternoon, but mornings are free. Sunrise Cafe, 9 o'clock, she suggested. We'll be there. Saturday morning, Felicity arrived early, uncharacteristically nervous. She'd abandoned her usual business attire for jeans and a simple cashmere sweater. When Parker arrived with the twins, she was struck again by how handsome he was beneath the exhaustion-strong jaw, kind eyes, the beginning of smile lines that spoke of happier times. Felicity, Lily called, running ahead of her father. We brought our special crayons for you. That's very thoughtful, Felicity replied, charmed by the child's enthusiasm. I didn't bring any crayons of my own. Liam approached more cautiously. Do you like dinosaurs? I can draw you a T-Rex. I would love a T-Rex, Felicity said solemnly. Parker set his portfolio on the table, looking both professional and nervous. Thank you for suggesting this arrangement. It's easier with the kids. For the next hour, Felicity found herself divided between 2 worlds. On one hand, she was thoroughly impressed by Parker's designs, innovative, practical, and exactly the fresh approach her company needed. On the other, she was enchanted by the easy way he parented the twins, never losing his train of thought even while helping Liam spell pterodactyl or admiring Lily's rainbow. These are exceptional, Felicity said, examining a particularly striking elevation drawing. You're exactly what our project needs. Parker's face remained cautious. I appreciate that, but I need to be upfront. My situation is complicated. I can't work standard office hours. The kids. We could work around that, Felicity said quickly. Remote work, flexible hours. I'm more interested in your talent than your schedule. He studied her face, searching for insincerity. Why are you doing this? There must be dozens of architects who could do this job without the complications. Felicity considered deflecting but found herself wanting to be honest. I admire how hard you work for your children, and I recognize talent when I see it. My father built our company by seeing potential others missed. For the first time, Parker's smile reached his eyes. Thank you. That means a lot. When they parted ways, Felicity had hired a brilliant architect and secured drawings from two enthusiastic 5-year-olds. She also had a strange, warm feeling she couldn't quite identify. The next month transformed both their lives. Parker began consulting for Rosenthal Enterprises, working primarily from home, but coming into the office twice a week when the twins were in school. His designs were revolutionary, focusing on affordable housing that didn't sacrifice beauty or sustainability. For her part, Felicity found herself creating excuses to check in on his progress, to stop by his temporary workspace, to ask questions that could have been handled via email. "The board is impressed," she told him one afternoon, perched on the edge of his desk. "They've approved moving forward with your concept for the entire Riverside project." Parker's face lit up. "Seriously, that's—" He stopped, shaking his head. "Thank you for taking a chance on me." "You earned this," she insisted. "Your work is exceptional." He studied her for a moment. "Can I ask you something personal?" Felicity nodded, curious. "Why do you spend so much time at that cafe? You must have a dozen better places to work." The question caught her off guard. "I guess I like feeling normal for an hour each day. Not being the billionaire heiress or the CEO, just another person drinking coffee." Parker's expression softened. "I understand that more than you might think. After Lisa died, I used to take the kids to the playground just to feel like a regular dad for an hour, not the grieving widower everyone pitied." Something shifted between them in that moment, a recognition of shared loneliness, despite their vastly different circumstances. "Would you and the twins like to have dinner sometime?" Felicity asked impulsively. "At my place, I have a pool the kids might enjoy." Parker's hesitation was brief but noticeable. "That's very kind, but just as friends," she added hastily. "I enjoy their company and yours." His expression relaxed into a smile. "In that case, we'd love to. Fair warning, they'll talk about that pool for weeks afterward." "Sunday," she suggested. "Around 4. Sunday works." When Sunday arrived, Felicity found herself racing around her penthouse apartment, simultaneously directing the caterer, second-guessing the menu, would 5-year-olds eat grilled salmon, and wondering if the pool toys she'd ordered were age-appropriate. Her housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, watched her with amused tolerance. "Miss Rosenthal, children are simple. They want food they recognize and adults who pay attention to them." "I ordered macaroni and cheese as backup," Felicity admitted. "And chicken fingers." Mrs. Chen nodded approvingly. "Smart woman." The doorbell rang precisely at 4. Felicity smoothed her casual sundress and took a deep breath before opening the door. The twins burst in first, eyes wide as they took in the expansive apartment with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. "Wow!" Liam exclaimed. "Do you live in the sky?" Felicity laughed. "Sometimes it feels that way." Parker stood in the doorway, holding a modest bouquet of flowers and looking slightly overwhelmed. He'd clearly made an effort. Pressed shirt, newer jeans, hair neatly combed. It made her heart twist strangely. "These are for you," he said, offering the flowers. "Thank you for inviting us." "They're beautiful," she replied, genuinely touched. "Come in, please." The afternoon unfolded with surprising ease. The twins were delighted by the pool, splashing happily while Felicity and Parker dangled their feet in the water, talking about everything and nothing. "They're amazing kids," Felicity observed, watching Lily practice swimming with floaties while Liam jumped in for the 100th time. "They are," Parker agreed, pride evident in his voice. "They've been through a lot, but kids are resilient. more than adults sometimes. You've done an incredible job with them." He turned to look at her, water droplets glistening on his forearms. "Can I ask you something personal again?" She nodded, curious. "Why aren't you married? Surely you've had opportunities." Felicity looked out at the skyline, gathering her thoughts. "I was engaged once, 3 years ago. Richard Blackwell, heir to another fortune, perfect on paper. 2 months before the wedding, I overheard him telling his friend how he'd hit the jackpot not because I was brilliant or kind or even beautiful, but because of my bank accounts." Parker winced. "That's awful." "It was educational," she corrected. "Since then, I've been focused on the company." It's easier than sorting through who wants Felicity and who wants Rosenthal Enterprises. "For what it's worth," Parker said quietly, "I think anyone would be lucky to know Felicity, just Felicity." Their eyes met, and something electric passed between them. Before either could speak, Lily called out, "Daddy, watch me float." The moment passed, but something had changed. Dinner was a joyful affair, with the twins devouring both chicken fingers and, to Felicity's surprise, trying the salmon as well. As the evening wound down, Parker helped them gather their things while Felicity packed a container of cookies for them to take home. At the door, the twins hugged her legs. "Can we come back tomorrow?" Liam asked hopefully. "Not tomorrow, buddy," Parker answered for her. "But maybe Felicity will invite us again sometime." "Anytime," she said, meaning it. "I had a wonderful day." After the twins scampered toward the elevator, Parker lingered. "Thank you. It's been a long time since I've seen them this happy." "I'm glad," she replied. "I had fun too." He hesitated, then stepped closer. "This may be completely inappropriate, but would you like to have dinner sometime? Just the two of us?" Felicity felt a flutter in her chest. "I'd like that very much." Their first official date was at a small Italian restaurant halfway between their vastly different neighborhoods. Parker insisted on paying, and Felicity didn't argue, understanding it was important to him. "How did you become an architect?" she asked over pasta. "I grew up in foster care," he said, the admission seeming to surprise even him. "Never stayed in one place long enough to call it home. I started sketching the kind of houses I imagined families lived in. Eventually, those sketches became blueprints." "And now you design homes for others," she observed. He nodded. "When Lisa and I met in college, we had this dream of creating affordable housing that felt like home, not just shelter. After she died, I lost sight of that for a while. Your project is the first time I've felt that passion again." "I'm glad," Felicity said softly. "Your designs are going to change people's lives." "What about you? Did you always want to take over the family business?" Felicity twirled pasta around her fork, considering. "Not exactly. I studied art history in college, a rebellion my father tolerated but never understood. When he got sick, I joined the company to help, thinking it would be temporary. Then he died, and suddenly I was responsible for thousands of employees' livelihoods. You enjoy it now?" "Parts of it," she admitted. "I like creating something meaningful. The Riverside project is the first one that's entirely mine, not an extension of my father's vision." By the end of the evening, they'd shared 2 desserts and stories they rarely told others. When Parker walked her to her car, the kiss they shared felt inevitable, gentle at first, then deepening with a hunger that surprised them both. "I shouldn't have done that," Parker said afterward, forehead resting against hers. "Why not?" "Because now I'm going to want to do it again. And you're still my boss, and I'm still a single dad working 3 jobs, and this is complicated." Felicity touched his face. "I'm good with complicated if you are." The following weeks brought a delicate balancing act. Professionally, Parker's designs were revolutionizing the Riverside project. Personally, he and Felicity were cautiously exploring their growing feelings. stealing moments together between his shifts and her meetings. They kept their relationship private at work, but with the twins, Felicity was becoming a regular presence, helping with homework, joining them for pizza nights, even attending Lily's dance recital. One night, after the twins were asleep, Parker and Felicity sat on his worn couch, her head on his shoulder. "The board wants to hire you permanently," she said. "Full benefits, competitive salary. You could quit the security job in the grocery store." Parker tensed slightly. "As a contractor, I can control my hours, be there for the kids. The offer includes flexible scheduling, work-from-home options, whatever you need." She sat up to look at him. "You deserve this, Parker. Your talent. Is it really the company offering, or is it you?" He interrupted, his voice gentle but serious. "Does it matter? It matters to me. I need to know I earned this." Felicity took his hand. "The board made the decision unanimously after seeing the preliminary feedback from focus groups. I recused myself from the vote precisely because I knew you'd ask this question." The tension left his shoulders. "In that case, I'd be honored." "There's something else," she said, suddenly nervous. "The twins' spring break is coming up. I thought maybe we could all go away together. My family has a beach house in the Hamptons. Nothing fancy, but right on the water." Parker laughed. "Your version of nothing fancy and mine might differ slightly." "Fair point," she conceded with a smile, "but the offer stands. A week away from the city, from work. Just us and the kids." He pulled her close. "That sounds perfect." The beach house, which was indeed far more luxurious than Parker had imagined, became the backdrop for their deepening relationship. Felicity watched in wonder as Parker relaxed, the perpetual tension in his shoulders finally easing as the twins built sandcastles and hunted for seashells. On their third night, after the children were asleep, they walked along the moonlit beach. "I've never seen you so relaxed," Felicity observed. Parker laughed softly. "Is it that obvious? It's just, for the first time in years, I'm not counting pennies or minutes. I can just be with them, with you. It suits you." He stopped walking, turning to face her. "I'm falling in love with you," he said simply. "I've been fighting it because it seems impossible, our worlds are so different. But here now, I can almost believe it could work." Felicity's heart soared. "I fell in love with you months ago, watching you with your children in that cafe. The way you treated them with such respect and kindness. I knew then you were extraordinary." Their kiss was deep and promising, the ocean waves providing a rhythmic soundtrack. "Stay with me tonight," Felicity whispered against his lips. "The kids are asleep across the hall," she finished. "And they know where to find you if they need anything." His answer was another kiss, more urgent this time. Later, tangled in sheets and each other, Parker traced patterns on her bare shoulder. "I never thought I could feel this way again," he admitted. "After Lisa died, I thought that part of my life was over." "I never thought I could feel this way at all," Felicity replied. "I was always keeping people at a distance, afraid of their motives." "The twins adore you," he said. "Lily asked yesterday if you were going to be their new mommy." Felicity's breath caught. "What did you tell her?" "That we care about each other very much, but grown-up relationships are complicated." He propped himself up on one elbow. "Was that wrong?" "No," she said softly. "It was honest, but would it be so terrible, someday, I mean?" Parker's eyes darkened with emotion. "It would be the opposite of terrible. It would be everything." The rest of their vacation passed in a blur of happiness. By the time they returned to the city, something fundamental had shifted. Parker gave notice at both his part-time jobs, focusing on his new role at Rosenthal Enterprises and, more importantly, on being present for his children. Felicity found herself spending more evenings at Parker's modest apartment than at her penthouse. The twins began leaving toys at her place. Their worlds, once so separate, were steadily merging. 6 months after their first coffee shop encounter, the Riverside Project broke ground. At the ceremony, Parker stood proudly beside Felicity as she addressed the crowd, his architectural models displayed prominently. "This development represents the future of urban housing," Felicity told the assembled press and dignitaries. "Affordable, sustainable, and beautiful homes for families who deserve nothing less. And we have our visionary architect, Parker Zimmerman, to thank for that vision." The applause was thunderous. As they posed for photos, Felicity whispered, "There's something I need to ask you later." Hours later, after the twins were asleep, she led Parker to the rooftop garden of her building. "What's this about?" he asked, noting the champagne and flowers set up in the corner. Felicity took a deep breath. "I had this whole speech prepared, but now I'm nervous." Parker's eyes widened with realization. "Felicity, I love you," she said simply. "I love your children. I love our life together. It doesn't matter that we come from different worlds, we've created our own." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small box, opening it to reveal a platinum band. "Parker Zimmerman, will you marry me?" For a moment, he stood frozen. Then, to her confusion, he began to laugh. "What's so funny?" she asked, suddenly uncertain. Parker reached into his own pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. "I was going to ask you the same question tonight." Relief and joy washed over her. "Is that a yes?" "It's an absolute yes," he said, gathering her into his arms. "But the kids and I come as a package deal. I wouldn't have it any other way." They were married 3 months later in a small ceremony, with Lily as flower girl and Liam as ring bearer. The twins participated in the vows, solemnly promising to be a family together. The Riverside Project was completed a year later, winning multiple awards for innovative urban design. Parker's name became synonymous with sustainable architecture, and he expanded his team to handle the influx of projects. Felicity continued leading Rosenthal Enterprises, but with a renewed focus on developments that served communities rather than just profits. Together, she and Parker created a foundation to help single parents pursue education and career dreams. 2 years after their wedding, they welcomed a daughter, Emma, into their family. The twins, now 8, were devoted older siblings, proudly helping with bottles and diapers. On Emma's first birthday, Felicity and Parker returned to Sunrise Cafe, all 3 children in tow. They sat at the same table where they'd first shared coffee, now requiring an extra high chair. "You ever imagine what would have happened if you hadn't offered us a seat that rainy day?" Parker asked, watching Lily help Emma with her sippy cup. "We would have found each other anyway," Felicity said confidently. "Some things are meant to be." "The billionaire and the struggling single dad," he teased, though the struggle was now a distant memory. "The woman who needed a family and the man who showed her what love really means," she corrected. Liam looked up from his drawing. "Dad, remember when we were poor and could only get muffins on Fridays?" Parker smiled, ruffling his son's hair. "I remember." "Now we can have muffins every day," Lily added. "But Friday muffins still taste best." Parker's eyes met Felicity's over their children's heads, filled with love and gratitude for the journey that had brought them together. From stolen glances across a cafe to a family bound by love rather than circumstance, it was more than either had dared to dream. "Friday muffins do taste best," Felicity agreed, squeezing Parker's hand. "Some traditions are worth keeping." As Emma babbled happily, and the twins debated the merits of chocolate versus blueberry, Felicity and Parker shared a quiet moment of perfect understanding. Their different worlds had collided by chance, but the family they'd built together was no accident. It was the most deliberate, precious creation of all.